Oh, yes, you're on the Heat, SiriusXM. It's Mina SayWhat. So you know I love when legends come through, okay? Because we get to talk about the essence, the foundation, the culture.
Yeah.
Bryan Michael Cox, super producer, legend, singer-songwriter, executive, joining us today. Man, we need the clap. We need the clap. Welcome. Thank you for making time.
Thank you, Mina, for having me.
Man, you've had so much success. I'm very honored. I literally grew up listening to your music.
Man.
And continue to listen to your music. So this isn't like a blast from the past.
Yeah.
It's like we're continuing to just be blessed with the art that you're making every single day.
Yeah, I'm blessed to still be here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I do not take it for granted. Trust me.
Yeah. I do follow you on social media, and you're always like, thank you to God. This wouldn't be, without God. And I think it's really special to really highlight that, because sometimes we forget there is another plan, and we think it's all us, and some of it is us. Yeah. But some of it is also there's a higher being making the way.
And I feel like, this business is hills and valleys, right? And it's like they take care of the valleys, the hills will take care of themselves, right? So, coming out of a valley, in that valley is when you learn more about yourself, is when you start, you heal yourself, like this has been a real process for me the past 10 years. It's been a real interesting process, you know what I mean? A lot of things that people didn't see, working back, trying, like really, really grinding back up and just staying committed to the craft. It's now it's like, okay, I know how to deal in the valley. So, that's why I always say I don't take it for granted.
Yeah. And we're going to talk about that, because I don't think the struggle that you were going through is a testament to your I guess, experience or talent. It's more so the music industry.
The music business,
and what was happening in the industry, specifically with R&B.
Yeah, the shift.
Right. Yeah. We'll get there, but right now, we literally listen every hour to a song that you've had your hands on, your pen on, Muni Long, Made for Me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've said this to Money. I love that she is bringing real love songs that I grew up listening to, that some, the younger generation may not have those real love songs. Yeah. You, Jermaine Dupri, Money all collaborated on this record, and it's a massive record. It's #1.
Yeah. So and big shout out to Jordan XL, who's also composed on the record. Money, she's a masterful songwriter. Right, always has been. She's penned hits for gang people throughout the years. I'm not, if you know her real name, you can go research it.
Yeah, so she's 10 years in the game.
She's
writing for a lot.
She's a vet in this thing when it comes to like getting the pen off. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was a no-brainer for us. You know what I'm saying, working with her, because her caliber, the quality of who she is as an artist, who she is as a songwriter is, just top tier. You know what I mean? She's one of my favorites. So, and it's always been. You know what I mean?
How would you describe that session?
It was really just simple. We did like 3 or 4 days with her. No, it might have been a week, because we came up with a bunch of different things. And she actually came to us with Made for Me. She came with the idea, with she had lyrics already. She had, you know what I mean? So it was kind of like, okay, we'll get it to the finish line. We'll finish writing it. We'll finish doing what we gotta do to take it to the finish line. And I'm gonna keep it a buck. I didn't know, like, we didn't know what was gonna happen with those songs or with that song. Really, we didn't know. You know what I mean? And one day, you make songs, and then it's like, okay, cool. She's off working with other people. We off. You do what you do, and then a year later or months later. I don't think it was quite a year later. It might have been maybe 7 months later. You know what I mean? Shaka, her manager, who she had just hired Shaka at the time, Shaka Zulu.
Oh wow, that's her manager now?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So Shaka,
she went and got the
she got the guy. She went and got the guy.
Right.
Shaka texted me and Jermaine like, hey, we want to go with this record. It's made for me record. It was like, oh, okay. Like out of nowhere, like he was like, yeah, I'm managing Money now. We want to do. I was like, okay, well, cool, let's go. And then that's when the movement started. So we finished her vocal. Then we were like, okay, let's really finish the record. And we did a couple content pieces showing us finishing the record, and then they put it out. And this was like end of September, I think. Yeah, like September of 2023. And the song did well on radio, obviously.
TikTok, massive.
But the TikTok thing popped off at the top of the year. I'm gonna keep it real. We did, what happened in social media in January or late December, we had that was just a gift.
Right,
from God.
That was God.
I ain't gonna lie. You know what I'm saying?
That was God.
We had no idea what was happening. That was happening. You know what I mean? Like I was in, I went to Mexico right before New Year's, like for New Year's, and Jermaine had texted me like, "Yo, man, I think this record is kind of taking off on TikTok." You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And then like a week later, it was like, boom.
Yeah,
it's gone.
It's because this idea of someone being made for you.
Yeah.
I mean, what an idea.
Yeah.
And it's different from the concepts that are out in R&B right now, where a lot of it is like toxic or,
That's the thing.
Right.
The thing is, in R&B, we've leaned in so heavy on the toxic part. You know what I'm saying? And granted, it's been toxic R&B since,
yeah, but it's 70s. Heavy right now.
But it's heavy, and
we are in toxic R&B mode.
And it's also the language, right? Like, even when you think about toxic records back in the day, like a record like Bobby Womack's "I Wish You Didn't Trust Me So Much," I mean, it's scandalous.
Yeah,
but it's not derogatory in a language perspective. The way that these young artists are expressing themselves, the language is so derogatory.
It's wild,
right? So that
it's wild.
Yeah, so that it makes the toxic even more toxic because you're using wild language
in R&B music.
Right. Not even in you using language that Too Short was using in the 80s. You know what I mean? In R&B music, and I think that is why it's so toxic, right? We always gonna have toxic situation. I mean, Confessions is toxic. You know what I mean?
But it's classy. Toxic.
But it's all I'm saying language.
Right.
It's
right.
words.
Yeah.
The power of words.
Yes.
So think about the dark cloud that some of this music has, because the words. You know what I mean? Like, so a record like Made for Me is like a breath of fresh air to these kids.
Yeah. Let's get into it. Made for Me, produced one of the producers and songwriters.
Big up Jermaine Dupri, my man,
yes.
Jordan XL. Yeah.
Bryan Michael Cox, producer, songwriter, executive, joining us today. Contributed to Muni Long's Made for Me with Jermaine Dupri. I wanted to talk about that relationship because that hasn't been the first time you guys have worked together. No. What is it about Jermaine that you feel you guys are like this cake and you're half and he's half and you guys come together and make the whole thing?
It's really, years in the making, really. I mean, from the very first day that we went into the studio, I met Jermaine Dupri through Brian and Brandon Casey from Jagged Edge. Mm-hmm. They introduced me to him because we were in the middle. We were writing songs to submit. They were signed to the publishing company, so they were writing songs to submit for artists on Social Death, whether it's Escape, whether it's I Know Jay, whether it was Usher was doing an album, or just trying to we were trying to get placements. And apparently Jermaine heard these songs, and was like, oh, this sounds like an album. Who's the guy doing the records? And it was always this kid, Bryan Michael Cox, at Noontime or whatever. So cool. So then I go meet him. Long story short, I go meet him. He's like, yo, I'm gonna call you. He calls me like a month later, like, yo, come to the studio. We're gonna finish Jagged Edge's album. So I had very minimum interaction with him, before I went to his house for the to the studio. Go to the studio, and the very first song we do is Keys to the Range. Mm-hmm. So we finished J.E. Heartbreak. I thought J.E. Heartbreak was gonna be the only album that me and him worked on together.
Which is Jagged Edge album.
Yeah, Jagged Edge's second album.
Let's Get Married is on that, right?
Yeah. But these songs, obviously were big hits.
Right.
So then what happens is, as sessions happen, you just keep getting called.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, man, can you come and do this one? Can you come and do this one? And then that just started to flow. And really, we've only had one point of time where we weren't aligned. You know what I mean? And then Mariah got us back aligned. So
hey, Mimi.
And
it happens.
But it's been since 1998. So it's been 26 years that I've been working with Jermaine Dupri. So now it's just kind of like, that's
my brother.
Yeah, like it's family. I mean, it's been family for 20 of those years. But we are legitimately like his mom, and we all. His daughter, my son, like, it's like we're family. Me, Jermaine, Usher, like this family.
Yeah. I think this is an important moment to actually run down the credits. Mm-hmm. So, and these are just some. right?
Yeah.
So for Usher alone, Confessions Part 2, Burn, You Got It Bad.
Yeah.
Mary J. Blige, Be Without You. Mariah, Shake It Off, Don't Forget About Us. Jagged Edge, Let's Get Married. He Can't Love You. People sleep on He Can't Love You.
Smash. Yeah,
right?
They killed that. Yeah.
Chris Brown, Say Goodbye.
Yeah.
Monica, Love All Over Me.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
These are like timeless R&B songs.
I'm telling you, I don't take any of it for granted. You know what I'm saying? I don't. I'm just super happy to be a part of, that lineage.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So you got your first #1 hit as a producer in 1992.
No, not 92. It was 99.
99? Okay.
99. Yeah. I did a song for a group called Ideal. The song was called Get Gone.
Okay.
99.
It's 2024 and you have a #1 song.
Yeah.
Right. So what is that? How many years is that?
That's 25 years.
25 years. So what has changed in 25 years, if anything?
Oh, a lot has changed.
The art of making R&B music.
Well, I will say this. When I came up, there was a level of respect for the genre that R&B derived from. There was a lot of respect for the gospel genre, gospel music genre. When I came up, it was like everybody, that I knew or that I admired came from the church. Whether it was producers like Stevie J or like J Dub or
Stevie J came from the church?
Stevie J's dad is a pastor.
What?
Yeah, the Jordans, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Devontae Swing and even Rodney Jerkins, who his father's,
Right.
they came from church. Like we all have that in common. So I kind of feel like there was a level of respect there, and even though Jermaine might have not grown up in the church, but Manuel still did. So there's always a level of church somewhere in the mix when it came to R&B music, where I feel like that's not the case now.
Oh.
You know what I mean? Which is why I feel like A Regular I Made for Me, why it stands out, because Money, she's from that type of background too. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's the #1 difference. I think another way is just how we make the music. It's easier to, I don't want to use the word easier. It is more accessible to make music now. Back then it wasn't. When I started my producer journey, I started in like '93, trying to be a producer. Like when I was like, yo, I'm gonna be a producer, right? And it cost $5,000 or like $6,000 just the bare minimum start.
For
that's
the equipment.
Like, that's like an ASR 10 maybe.
Yeah.
And you got to buy a mixer. You got to get really it's like $8,000, $10,000 start.
Yeah.
So imagine going to your mama saying, "Hey, I need $10,000 to do."
Right.
I want some equipment. You know what I mean?
You better go get a job.
Yeah, exactly. So
you better go on the pole.
It was
better
a
go
lot.
find some money.
So it was the entry point. It was it was much difficult for the entry point as a producer. You know what I mean?
Right.
But now it's not. And people are making music that's legitimately out, like on their iPhone.
Yeah.
Now people are making music with AI. You know what I mean? Like it's super accessible. So I think that by being so accessible, the value of it it's been diminished a bit. The value of like feeling accomplished about it is diminished a bit. You know what I mean? I think that's the big difference. But then you have people making quality things, like D Mile, who's one of my favorite producers.
I was just talking to Lucky Day about D Mile.
Yeah, he's like you got people who's making quality things. James Fauntleroy. You got 1500 to Nothing. You got you have a lot of people out there that are still in that space making quality things. And you still got the vets out here. You still have Timbaland in the game. You still got Danger in the game. You still got Rodney Jerkins in the game. You still got people still in the game. So,
All right, I can talk to you forever about songwriting, which we will get to because I have some very important questions. But on the way, we're going to talk about what you're doing now, which is you have an artist.
Yes, I do.
songwriter, artist. No, you've never actually really
been an artist.
Right.
I mean, I've been an artist.
We'll talk about that.
Yeah.
Hold it, right? But songwriter, producer, and now an executive. You have an artist. Talk about your artist.
So I have an artist named Jack Freeman from Houston, Texas, my hometown, and he's just a soulful, a young soulful artist. I feel like he's a person that bridges the gap at the crib in a real way. He's done records with Scarface, done records with Zero, done records with Slim Thug. Like, he's in the community heavy out there in Houston.
Yeah.
And but he's a true R&B guy. You know what I mean? He's a true soulful cat. And we made a really, really good project. A dope project. I think is one of the strongest projects that come out this year, and I'm super proud of the music. And we're pushing along. You know what I mean? Launching an artist is always a task. And this is my first artist on my new label, Illustrating New Ideas.
Congratulations!
Thank you. So we are, it's a task, but we're getting there, and we're getting looks, and the song is doing well. So the singles out right now called Undress. I got a remix coming with Jagged Edge shortly. So he's in the community with all all the R&B people that's rocking. He's opening for Tank. For R&B Money Tour in Houston this weekend, and he's just an amazing dude. And
so stepping from making the music to now kind of marketing, right? And the executive role.
Yeah,
has that been a hard transition for you?
Yes, it has.
Yeah.
I'm not even gonna lie. I mean, I think that it started with me taking the position at LVRN last year, and I'm still working very closely with that company, and I've learned a lot working with that company. And Justice is one of my dear friends, and Sean is my guy, and Carlin and Amber and the whole
people
team.
Who run LVRN is the label.
And they have really, really great
It's
artists.
An independent
now.
label, right? Yeah.
We're independent now. They were with Interscope before, but they're independent now. So Summer Walker, Black,
right?
Division. They manage Division. They manage DeVito.
Mm-hmm.
So it's it transitioning into it being an executive. It's you have to change the way you think. And, as a creatives, we can be loosey goosey at times. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, but as an executive, I've had to learn to be really on top of things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's really why I've taken it on, because I really want that discipline. You know what I'm saying? So,
right. But it's not just because when you're a creative, you're just responsible for you. Being an executive, and this is why I struggle with it, like, I just want to be a creative, You have to be responsible for others.
Yeah.
And it's like, how do you manage that? Because other people are going to be how they are. And that's the hard thing about kind of stepping behind the curtain and trying to be in a management role.
You have to just accept it, though. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think ultimately, and for me, because I've been with my manager since the very beginning. So Chris Hicks has been my manager since 1998. So
that's a blessing.
So for me, I've been, I've been the hard head. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm the creative, I'm the client. I've been the client, the guy that's like, but I'm the client. You know what I mean?
I'm the star.
Oh, exactly. Exactly. I've been the guy that way. But I've also, watching him and learning from him, how he's dealt with all the different personalities that he's had to deal with. That has taught me a lot how I deal now. You know what I'm saying? With the personalities that I'm dealing with.
Let's play the song. Go ahead and introduce your artist. We're going to do it right now. Ring it off.
This is Jack Freeman, the new single Undress, produced by yours truly. And let's get into it.
Bryan Michael Cox is joining us. He's been in the game for
26 years now.
26 years, songwriting, producing. Now you're an executive, working with labels. Why did you never step into that artist role? Because we see a lot of producers go to try to be the artist.
It's so crazy,
and they don't always work out.
I've had so many false starts with that. I'm always starting an album and like you know what I mean? And I came real close to the pandemic. I came real close. I actually put a song out, and it was. But what happened was, during the pandemic, I was DJing live. I'm also a DJ, and I have the #1 R&B party in Atlanta.
I saw that.
Ladies of R&B, and I also do a party in LA called Love Zone.
I want to come.
Yeah. You got to come. Ladies of R&B is popping.
Wait, but that's just sidebar. That's starting to become a thing around the country. These R&B only parties.
I'm gonna keep it real. We were a part of the first wave of that.
Yeah.
Like, I've been doing that that party for 8 years now, or 7, 8 years now. You know what I'm saying? Like we it was called R&B Wednesdays initially, and then R&B Wednesday it was too generic when we started blowing up. Everybody everywhere was doing R&B Wednesdays, so I was like, we got to come up with another name.
Yeah.
And my partner in crime who created the party with me, his name is Keith Thomas, who's also A&R for Usher's label, and a producer and songwriter in his own right. He was like, yo, let's call it Layers of R&B, and I was like, that's it.
Yeah.
And we've been at it ever since. And us being number one in Atlanta led us to doing, we did Usher's residency for 2 years. We were the after party for his residency in Vegas for 2 years.
Wow.
And it took us to Dubai. It took us to we did one in New York a few years back. We did one in Toronto. We were doing one in Miami. We had Houston for like a year and a half. Like, this brand is really like growing in an interesting way. So yeah, so all to say that I'm not saying that we started the R&B party wave, but I will say that it was not a lot of R&B parties going on before. It was us. It was like R&B only. It was another party in Atlanta called The Groove that actually was a part of, years before. So there it was pockets, but now it's like an overload.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So that actually brings me to a point. I remember being on the radio, I would say maybe like 2010, and there was literally no R&B music on the radio.
Done. We were done.
Like nothing. And there were no women on the radio. Mm-hmm. It was Nicki Minaj, and that's it.
Yeah.
And I was on the radio, a woman who loves R&B in that space. Yeah. And it wasn't like K Michelle wasn't making music, or it wasn't, it wasn't like there was a wave of people making music. It just wasn't on the radio. How did that affect you as a songwriter of R&B music?
It was extremely discouraging.
Yeah.
And for an industry to tell you that it's not valuable anymore.
That there's no money in R&B music.
No value.
I remember people in the label saying that. I'm like, what?
So what started happening was they it felt like they was icing us out. You know what I mean? It felt like, okay, luckily, J Records was in a space, RCA, I'm sorry, was in a space. Oh no, that was J. That was Live All Over came out on J. So Monica was still on J Records, and J Records was in a space where they were still invested in that music. They had Alicia Keys. They had, they were still invested in R&B music.
Yeah.
So when you delivered a record or delivered something that was felt like a hit, they went all out, and that's how we got to the Monica Love All Over Me record. Because I forget, I don't know if it was Peter. I think it might have been Peter. I can't remember who was Peter Rich, who was executive. I don't know who was the executive at the time, and I know Clive was still in the mix. So you deliver a record like that. That record really, helped me not be discouraged. Right. You know what I mean? Because when like I said, when industry tell you it's not valuable, then they stop calling you, right? And then they deem you, done, finished.
Wow.
Those guys are finished. So then you have to deal with that. You hear that, right? Okay. Luckily for me, social media was kicking up. You know what I mean? And I was leaning in on YouTube at the time, doing like videos of me making beats and leaning in on social media, and that kind of kept my visibility up with people who really wanted to still hear and be attached to R&B music. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then I started, I've always DJed, but then I started taking bookings anywhere I could take them. I was like, okay, you know what? Let me really lean into DJing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So anywhere I could take them, if they was paying $500, just imagine me doing a gig for $500.
Doing Confessions Part 2 for Usher and going to DJ. But it's those peaks and valleys that you talked about.
Exactly. But I was like, yo, I got to go. Are they paying for travel? Are they paying for, they got travel, they got plane ticket and a hotel, and $500, let's go. And that was basically my thing. It's like, and everywhere I went, party by party, we're going to do our best to try to rock, and people see me in a different light as a DJ. Then that started taking off, and that kind of sustained me for many years, actually.
Man, we ran out of time. I literally it's like, I need more time. They in here like, he gotta go. I wanted to talk about you writing Faithful on Drake's Views album. There are 9 writers on the record. How do you even do that? Okay. And then best songwriter ever, Fast.
It changes, but this week is Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis.
Okay. Best songwriter right now?
That's such a great question. Muni Long.
Muni Long.
Yeah.
A young artist that makes you excited about the future of R&B right now?
Coco Jones.
On that note, Bryan Michael Cox, ladies and gentlemen. I wanted to talk about Confessions and the story of the side chick. And
there's a whole story there too.
We're doing it on social media.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming.
No
I can
doubt.
talk to this guy forever. You're on the Heat, SiriusXM. It's Mina SayWhat. Woo.
Yeah.